This Selmer Treble N Bass 50 Mark II is a great new addition to my studio, but before it was recommended to me, I have to admit I had no idea about Selmer amps in general, despite hearing them on tons of records over the years. I'd always associated Selmer with instruments like saxophones, and I knew next to nothing about their amplifier heritage. They were actually established in 1928 with a partnership of Henry Selmer and Ben Davis, and together they were the first British company ever to sell amplifiers, initially imports from the US. In 1935, Selmer started producing their own amps, and by the time of World War II, they were the biggest musical instrument company in the UK. Selmer's first venture into guitar amps was the RSA True Voice series. These early models were no powerhouses though, with their 8-inch speakers. They also posed some danger due to lack of mains transformers, although that was corrected by the 50s. Selmer carried on the True Voice branding into the 60s, and can be found on early models of the Zodiac combo, and the first version of my amp, the Crocodile Skin Treble N Bass Mark I, which seems to have the same internals as the Mark II, just more of a Vox-style exterior. It's interesting that by the mid-60s, the Beatles were using the Selmer Thunderbird amps on Revolver and Sgt. Pepper, along with other amps including the Fender Bassman. It's said that the Treble N Bass can be thought of as a Bassman-style design, with 6L6 tubes replaced with EL34s. The 6L6 is mostly used in high-powered American-style amps, synonymous with fantastic cleans and a nice flat frequency response. EL34s are mostly used in crunchy British-style amps and provide early breakup for great texture and incredible distortion with the gain cranked. Syd Barret and Pete Townsend can be seen playing these amps in the mid-60s. The Selmer Twin Selector Tone combo is especially famed for its use on the iconic guitar riff from House of the Rising Sun. After much online debate, the Animals lead guitarist Hilton Valentine disappointed Vox fans by proclaiming that it definitely wasn't an AC30, it was a Selmer. The impression I get is that you can really achieve a great bass sound from it, with really nice presence. It works great for guitar also, with bright articulate cleans at low volume, and nice breakup distortion when pushed. It's pretty versatile too, as you can use the channels separately of course, but you can also chain them together for a different flavour. Doing this for the guitar gives you a great low-end fullness. It works really well as a bass amp, and Mr. Tame Impala himself, Kevin Parker, swears by it, calling it the best bass amp ever. Arctic Monkeys bassist Nick O'Malley obviously agrees, as he plays a Mark I, the same as Jack Bruce did back in the 60s. Another champion of the amp was Lemmy, seen here with the Mark III. From this Mark III into the 70s versions, they were electronic changes to the interior working, but by all accounts, are still great sounding amps all the same. It seems up until recently the Selmer Treble N Bass amps were fairly affordable, especially compared to similar units made by the more famous vintage big hitters like Fender, Marshall and Vox. Although this does seem to be changing a bit now, as they get discovered by modern players and perhaps becoming more scarce. They do seem to represent better value than the alternatives if you want that authentic vintage sound. It's interesting though that the marketing can play a big part in the brand's legacy. Imagine if Selmer had got hold of the Beatles early on instead of Vox. I'm sure the value of these amps would be much higher as a consequence, so they're really definitely worth checking out if you find one for the right price, as they do have their own unique characteristics and sound.